Beckett is sitting in a New Jersey state penitentiary, exactly 4 hours away from a lethal injection. He just finished his final meal. He is completely at peace. His calm demeanor hides a rather striking irony. Over the past year, Beckett successfully planned and executed 6 flawless murders. Yet the state is about to execute him for the single murder he actually did not commit. Take a look at this corporate-style family tree. At the very top sits the $19 billion Redfellow family estate. Below that are 7 designated heirs, and completely isolated at the bottom is Beckett. Before he was born, his grandfather cut his mother out of the inheritance entirely for refusing to end her pregnancy, forcing her to raise Beckett in working-class New Jersey. On her deathbed, she pulled Beckett close and made him promise to take back what was stolen from them. She demanded he do whatever it takes to secure what she called the right kind of life. But as you can see mapped out here, 7 wealthy relatives stand firmly between him and the top of that pyramid. He tries to play by the rules, working retail and keeping his head down. Then, at a birthday party, he runs into Julia, a wealthy childhood crush. When he tells her he lives in Belleville Township, she dismisses him with a joke about his poor neighborhood and laughs in his face when he mentions his future inheritance. A lifetime of poverty is difficult, but profound public humiliation is a strong catalyst. That single interaction weaponizes his grief, turning a grieving retail worker into a calculated assassin intent on rewriting his own bloodline. The first target on the list is his cousin Taylor, a financial broker. Beckett tracks him to a boat party, waits until Taylor takes a jet ski out alone, and improvises a quiet execution by tying Taylor's ankle to the boat's anchor. But holding the rope, Beckett freezes. His conscience screams at him to stop. He is terrified of the guilt, almost confessing right there on the water before Taylor startles him, forcing him to drop the anchor. He expects the police to arrive at any moment. Instead, at Taylor's funeral, he meets his uncle Warren. Impressed by Beckett's polite demeanor, Warren offers him Taylor's highly lucrative job at the investment firm. Suddenly, Beckett is making serious money. He is learning the language of the elite. The voice of conscience that nearly paralyzed him on the boat starts to fade. His first kill teaches him a dangerous lesson. In high society, ruthlessness does not lead to a prison cell, it leads to a promotion. By the time he targets his cousin Noah, a photography artist, the hesitation is entirely gone. Beckett sneaks into Noah's darkroom and laces the photographic stop bath with sulfur and potassium chloride. The chemicals mix, turning the tray into a makeshift explosive triggered by a single spark. It is here he meets Noah's girlfriend, Ruth. Ruth is a high school literature teacher who values a quiet, simple life over massive wealth. She represents a moral alternative to the violent path Beckett is walking. A genuine romance blossoms between them. They bond over Dickens and home-cooked meals. Yet, concurrently, Beckett mechanically eliminates the rest of his family. He poisons a megachurch pastor, tampers with an aunt's spa treatment, and laces a billionaire's drink. Look closely at how this family tree updates. One by one, the middle silhouettes are crossed out. The inheritance line collapses straight down. The murders have become entirely routine, a simple checklist to complete before dinner. His conscience is now totally silent. Only 2 men remain. Beckett finds he actually respects his Uncle Warren, so he spares him. That leaves his grandfather Whitelaw. But when Beckett finally confronts the angry patriarch, Whitelaw attempts to shoot him with a trench gun, misses, and inadvertently causes his own death in the struggle. Beckett claims the fortune without having to pull the trigger himself. The path to the fortune is finally clear. He has the money, the status, and a name cleared of any actual wrongdoing. He has achieved exactly what his mother asked for, leaving behind the version of himself that was once too afraid to drop an anchor. Beckett has everything. He holds the $19 billion Redfellow estate, he is welcomed into New York's upper crust, and he has a beautiful apartment with the woman he loves. Then the trap snaps shut. The FBI approaches him one last time and arrests him for the murder of Lyle. Lyle is Julia's husband, and crucially, the only person on the board Beckett actually did not kill. Julia visits him in prison and reveals her scheme. She had a private investigator following him for months. She knows exactly how he killed his relatives. She murdered her own husband, framed Beckett using his forged signature, and now holds the only piece of evidence that can clear his name, Lyle's actual suicide note. She demands the entire $19 billion in exchange for it. Beckett spent a year clawing his way up the ladder through blood and calculation, only to find Julia waiting at the top. While he played the predator doing the dirty work, she played the silent observer, letting him clear the path before seizing the prize for herself. By abandoning his morals to play the elite's game, Beckett unwittingly walked right into a snare set by someone natively better at sociopathy than he could ever be. With the execution clock ticking down to 0, Beckett makes his final choice. Desperate to live, he signs over the entire estate to Julia in exchange for the suicide note. The note clears his name. The state releases him. But as he steps outside the prison gates, Ruth is waiting. She doesn't speak a word. She simply hands him back his locket and drives away, realizing exactly what kind of monster he is. Left with absolutely nothing, Beckett approaches a waiting Rolls-Royce. He opens the door and gets into the passenger seat next to Julia, joining his blackmailer as she takes the wheel of the fortune he spent 7 lives to build.